don't know what people are thinking.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I can spend a lot of time theorizing why someone does something or not. You know, I think for the fact of the matter is the boxing community, I'm in gyms with other pro fighters sparring regularly, hard sparring with other professional boxers. No one treats me any different.
Yeah! Woo! Dip, 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 dip. My balls is totally moving, new and improving. Not that we get back. Oh, I thought the heart had desire, my balls were on fire, ready to take us to the top. Welcome to the show. Did you know that your love is off? Hey everybody, welcome to the show. We're back and we have a guest. We don't usually have guests. If we do have a guest, it's somebody that you guys know because it's like Jason Ellis Show family, because you want to keep it the Jason Ellis Show. Oh, I don't want to learn things. I'm going to change the channel. This one's going to stretch you a little bit. We're going to have a guest that we don't know. I know his name is Patricio. That's all I know. I know that he's trans. So he was born a woman and now he is a man. And as you can see, you would not fucking know that. And he is a boxer to the level of professional, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you were a boxer your whole life, or is this a new thing? And
No, it's definitely not new. It's been over 20 years with this sport. So I think I started when I was about 16 years old. I'm a little bit older than I look.
how does a 16-year-old girl get into boxing? Or had you transitioned? Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let me do a little bit of, first of all, Patricio Manuel, welcome to the show.
Thank
and
you.
Get up on the mic just a little bit more to make sure
sorry.
everybody can hear you.
You can turn it at your face
So
too.
I'm not like slouching. Like, I'm not used to this complete like professional setup. I'm doing everything on Zoom at this point.
We've got you completely bamboozled. This is not professional at all. If you turn, if you twist this metal thing, it'll hold the mic, like it'll get it stiffer there. Maybe Michael, you could do it. Just
like,
if
I
you
have no idea what I'm doing.
don't worry about it.
You'll be okay.
Wait, there we go.
It looks like you got it okay.
Is it good?
Yeah.
You good?
I
Yep,
think
just as
so.
long as if you can hear yourself pretty well in the headphones, then you're doing great.
Okay. I can hear myself.
You're good.
Terrific. So we were talking about, there's the issue of transgender athletes in the Olympics, and we were having a conversation about that was going in a bunch of different directions. This is a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about how it seems like we're hearing more about male to female athletes. And I just said I really haven't heard so much about the people moving in the opposite direction. I literally went home that day, went on ESPN.com, saw the extensive profile about you, and I forwarded it around, and that started the conversation, the text conversation that led us to talking to you right now. So I know a little bit more, but everything that I know is based on that profile. I don't know that everyone who's ever been profiled by a major publication feels like they have been represented accurately. So I don't want to assume I know a whole bunch of stuff about you because I read one article on ESPN.com. But yes, a storied amateur boxing career, an Olympic hopeful, injuries, circumstances before the decision to transition. That's about the long and the short of it, right?
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I'm done then. I don't need to sum up the rest of my life.
Thanks for stopping by.
I hate that you waste your time coming all the way from
that
Georgia.
hour and 45 minutes coming down in traffic just for that. But beautiful house to see.
So okay, you're boxing to the point of a professional as a woman. Were you gay?
I mean, the thing is actually for my whole identity is like, I have always been a man. I was a boy, even when people were mislabeling me. That's how I always internally felt ever since I was a little kid.
But you didn't tell anybody to refer to you as that. You were just like, I feel like I'm a man. It's just, I'm obviously in a woman's body.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is the thing, like when you're a really little kid and you start saying things and the rest of the world's like, you're wrong. Like everything is wrong. So I learned to just be like, okay, I'm just going to go with the limited options that I have and keep it down deep inside of me.
Shit.
And it wasn't until I lost my Olympic dreams where I was like, basically, fuck this. I can't live this anymore.
So even as a kid, you were expressing to the adults in your life, parents or your mom or whatever, like, I think I'm a boy.
Yeah. I mean, ever since I was little, like really, really little. And it's as soon as you go into school, it's like preschool, automatically they're like, nope, you go in this line. I would be with the boys. And they were like, no, you're wrong. Go into this line. And I was a little kid that, I wanted to do the right things. I was pretty much a good little kid. So I was like, okay, I have to go do these things. But if you saw me playing, I was like stereotypical, right? Always with the little boys, always doing the things that boys were doing. I was always with them, like the one quote unquote girl with all the boys, because that's who I was. That's how I felt. And I think, kids are pretty smart. Like they saw me too as just being another boy with them.
Yeah.
It's funny, just this weekend, my daughter turned 3 and I have an older son, and we were talking about the gendering of kids and how my wife and I tried to parent sort of in a gender neutral way. My son was just give him something with wheels and he was rah, 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 rah. My daughter, she went and got her a mani-pedi in a princess dress. Mm-hmm. And it's just so funny. Kids, we try to, as enlightened parents, like expose them to this whole range of options. Kids pretty aggressively silo themselves according to gender.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. And then there may be that kid that's even like, I'm a boy who is totally fine with that identity and doing things that are completely different than what boys are doing.
Right.
There's just so much diversity, for lack of a better term, of just people's likes and choices and all these things. And like, how do we just let people be free to pick whatever they want without immediately throwing labels at them and forcing them into really, really narrow boxes?
Yeah.
If you didn't make it into the Olympics, but you got close, why not still have a professional boxing career as a female?
For me, it's not who I was. Like every time I heard someone say female boxing, women boxing, like there was a part of me that just cringed inside.
Oh, shit.
And I'm someone I'm really upfront. Like I really respect honesty and authenticity more than anything. And here I was actually living a lie every time that I didn't say something when someone called me a woman or called me a female boxer. And, I love boxing. This is a sport that saved my life. Like I got involved in boxing when I was about 16, right in the peak of puberty. I was going through just a terrible time. Really felt like I wasn't even in my body anymore. I was just watching myself go through the motions of life. And it was really the sport itself that brought me back into being present and also made me feel like I had some control of myself in a time where I didn't feel like I had in control. And I couldn't be the man who I've always wanted to be and the man that I felt myself to be unless I continued to be a man in boxing.
So when you transitioned, did you leave boxing and transition and then come back to boxing, or were you boxing the whole time?
Nope, I never left.
Right.
I never left the entire time.
So that would have been at one point to be at your level of boxing and then to transition, which means you would be on testosterone, correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Which would mean that you would start to find yourself being a better boxer, stronger, have like more cardio, or is that not true? What are the benefits that you got when you for being an athlete when it comes from transitioning from a female to male with the testosterone?
A lot more muscle. I would say that. Like I fight in a similar weight bracket that I used to before, but it's way easier to make weight as a male athlete than a female athlete. Let me just say that. Literally
Why is
that? I think that fat was held on to more when you're in a more estrogen dominant body.
Yeah.
Now I'm not. And I can cut 10 pounds and not be a problem. Before it would be a struggle. And that was the first thing all the female boxers I had been around before, they asked me like, is making weight different? I was like, hell yeah, it's different. And they were like, I told my coach it's different. It's harder.
Wow.
Well, there's boobs to begin with, and then just women naturally being curvier, you're saying?
And holding fat, like hold on to more fat. Fat holds on to more water. It's way easier to
boobs
purge.
Help, dude. Like they drain them.
Oh yeah, right.
A lot of girls, their boobs go flat when they cut weight.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. It's definitely a different. I luckily didn't have that much trouble as a female athlete before, but it is definitely a lot easier now.
I know you lean a lot on your overhand right. It must have been awesome to just all of a sudden get a lot more powerful.
Yeah, it definitely felt good. It definitely felt good being able to connect with. I have more mass behind me now.
Yeah.
I have more mass. I feel more explosive, but at the same time, I have all this pedigree from being like an elite level female athlete where I fought and beat a number of the women who went to the Olympics. And, that type of experience of the different styles, throw that in with also the effects of my body changing as well, like, I'm some trouble as a boxer. I've got no shame in saying that.
How is it with men when you're sparring men? You like now that you're all testosterone, your test is up there to equal. Like are you as strong as another man your size? I hope I'm not being insulting, man. I'm trying to I want to know more and more. I can't get answers.
Yeah.
I keep asking people. People ask me about Olympic lady weightlifter from New Zealand. I'm like, I don't see how the Olympics would let you in if you had testosterone levels that were twice as high as every female.
Oh, that's the thing is like around, I'll do a brief aside before answering your question in terms of what trans women are having to navigate and Laurel Hubbard. The IOC is not a progressive organization. For anyone that's known it, they are not looking to give anyone any sort of benefit. Actually, trans women have more restrictions on the testosterone than non-trans women. So they have to be within a way lower range than what would even be like natural, for example.
Well, sorry to interrupt you, but people have seen with the recent example of people disqualified for marijuana.
Yeah.
So people are maybe less familiar with all of the ins and outs of hormone replacement, whatever. Weed. You just see what happens to people who smoke weed.
Yeah, exactly. Weed.
That's
so
the
they're
IOC
going to let
for
trans
you.
athletes go on that when literally you're like, oh, there's a little bit of weed in your system and they disqualify you, So
Right.
the IOC is not looking to do trans athletes any sort of favors in allowing them to compete. And they've also had the option to compete since I think like 2004. This isn't new. This is just the first time that people are seeing trans athletes in the Olympics.
What makes a great headphone, a great earbud? Is it some musician that you like endorsed them or made them? Is it they come in awesome packaging? No, you moron. It's about buying a product from one of the industry leaders for 75 years. We're here to talk to you about Sennheiser. For the past 75 years, other companies have been doing all sorts of crazy things. People who are making earbuds now weren't even born when Sennheiser was putting sound first. And that's why we're here to talk to you about the new Momentum True Wireless 2s. They deliver the best listening experience known on planet Earth. They've got the free smart control app. They've got noise cancellation. You want to talk about long lasting? I'm not talking about earbuds that last all day. I'm talking about a 28-hour battery life. That's more than all day. And if earbuds are not what you're after, there's all sorts of other fine Sennheiser products. No wonder CNET called the Momentum True Wireless 2s clearly superior sound quality to the AirBods Pro. That's right. We're calling them out. Sennheiser are cooler. They're better. You'll know the first time you stick them in your ear.
Hey, they didn't tell you to call people a moron, did they?
No, I took that upon myself.
Nice. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say that you'd be silly because they're the first ones I've ever used where they don't fall out of my head, even if I box. Not against people, but I can hit the heavy bag and they don't fall out of my ear.
Great sound, awesome. And they don't fall out of your ear. Why settle for anything less than great sound? Come hear the difference with Sennheiser right now. For our first 100 listeners who go to Sennheiser.com/podcast and use promo code Ellis, you'll receive 15% off the Momentum True Wireless 2 earbuds or any of their other amazing headphones. That's 15% off when you go to SENNHEISER.com/podcast and use our promo code Ellis.
We've met a lot of interesting and strange people in our radio and podcasting journeys. Never met a single person that enjoyed debt. Debt
well
can be
said,
confusing,
Kevin.
Tough to get out of. And luckily, we've got somebody who can help you out.
That's right. We're talking about UpStart, the fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan, all online. We all know that feeling, whether it's that envelope that comes from your credit card company that you're dreading opening, whether it's the app that you're dreading opening in your phone because you're going to see just how high your balance is on your credit card or just how low your balance is in your bank account. It doesn't need to be that way. You can consolidate all that high interest debt into one low interest personal loan completely online.
Find out how do you UpStart. Wow, Jason Ellis just firing it up, large in charge. Find out how UpStart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/Ellis. That's my name, ELLIS. That's upstart.com/Ellis. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know we sent you, mate. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. go to upstart.com/Ellis. There's a certain group of people in America that have latched on to beating the trans community as if they're part of the vaccinated mask world. I don't know how it happened, but I'm sorry, but it just seems like a lot of people that are red T-shirt wearing people are like, yeah, and what's with these trans people? And I'm like, wait, what? How the fuck did you just... You don't trust the vaccine? Great, but where the fuck did the gay people get... like, what? How did you pull them out and be like, yeah, and we've got to stop these trans people? I'm like...
It's like a number of seemingly unrelated beliefs, but if I know you feel really strongly in one way about one of them, I can kind of guess the way you're going to feel about 5 other things.
But I just wish it... Man, I wish somebody could explain to me how they tie in together without me thinking, you just hate gay people. You hate different people. You just don't like anybody that's different. And you're like, whoa, trans people are in the Olympics. We're going to stop that. Women are never going to compete again. Do you really... Is that true? Because I haven't seen that. You know, I know that one person from New Zealand didn't make it to the Olympics because that lady made it to the Olympics. I mean, the lady that made it to the Olympics, she doesn't have the world record. She's not going to win. She's not even going to get sorry, maybe she will get a medal, but she's not crushing all other females. It's not, and everyone's like, we got to stop her. I'm like, I feel like I don't want to point at why you're doing it, but I definitely don't think that it's a positive to put a lot of energy into stopping trans people from competing in the Olympics, as you said. And I do hear a lot of bullshit. You know, like I see people just on media going, and she transitioned when she was 34, so she's still a man. And I'm like, there's no way the Olympics. You know, I know like enough from MMA, like the USADA and stuff. You can't fucking cheat. I mean, if you're doing it like Lance Armstrong style, then maybe you'll finagle something, but you can't just have twice the testosterone as anybody. You can't just have like all your stats just show up as you're twice as strong as everybody. They don't fucking let that happen. Like you just said, there's no weed.
Right.
And weed, I'm a weed smoker. It doesn't help.
Well, come to think of it, if you hate cheating so much, I don't remember anyone getting nearly as angry about Lance Armstrong. And he was a pure American hero. Everyone had those dumb bracelets, whatever they were supposed to. And
the Live Strong, I think.
Yeah,
right, exactly. You know, actually, I want to take that back. I think that
those were great wristbands.
I think they're terrible wristbands, but I think the organization really did.
Yeah.
So much so that he was like, I need to step away because they're doing great stuff, and I'm dragging them down now. But there's somebody who truly pulled the wool over everyone's eyes.
Didn't he also mention, Michael, that half of or more than half of his competitors were also doping? Which means the whole bike scene that you love, we're all cheating.
Yeah. I've quoted this thing so many times, I may have it wrong at this point, but it was at the 88 Olympics with Ben Johnson and Carl Lewis, and Ben Johnson from Canada got popped. And later on, they tested the same samples like 20 years later with more sophisticated testing. And like the entire field was cheating.
Right.
The guy who won was just the guy who got popped.
But that is, I don't want to use excuse to, the fact still remains is if you were higher, if you did have advances in the body that were clearly advancing you to beat natural born women, then I would be like, look, you can still go lift weights, but I don't think it's fair that you compete against these people. Just like if I do testosterone because I'm 49 and I've got low testosterone from being a dickhead my whole life. So now I do more. If I did more and had a pro fight and I fucking turned it up a little bit and they were like, hey man, your test is like, you know, 2 point something higher than the average person. You are fucking out of the fight. I'd be like, yes, I unfortunately agree because I understand the rules. So I don't understand the heat when everyone gets so bummed out about these people competing. I feel like it's I don't have the facts. I'm not a scientist. I can't read I can't even read my own testosterone.
Well, that's the thing is, you know, every time I'm on like panels or discussing, I ask people, have you had your chromosomes tested? Have you had your hormones tested? No one raises their hand. Right. No one says anything.
I have, and I still don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, like, same. I'm like, I get mine right. I know that I'm within the quote unquote normal ranges, right, but what's even that? It's like 250 to like 1,000.
Okay, you know a little bit more than me then, because I'm like, I asked the doctor, am I in a normal range? Yes, good. See you next time.
Yeah, I have to, because then someone's going to be like, well, you're cheating because of this. And I'm like, don't you even understand? Like you said, you're on TRT.
Yeah.
We're on the same things.
Yeah.
We're literally on the same things, doing the same thing. It's no different. Same thing with, trans women, except for now, they have to really, really super monitor to make sure their testosterone doesn't pass a certain threshold. And you have to remember the IOC is even disqualifying women who have natural testosterone that is higher to a range that they have declared is what it is.
Whoa!
Like a genetic passport kind of thing. Like they've established that is their real baseline.
Yeah, they've
Wait, but even if it's naturally high, you're cut.
Caster Semenya was a very famous one. They just also cut out 2 400-meter sprinters. This happened during the same time as Richardson's weed, and to me was the most alarming thing. I think they were from, I could be wrong, from Nambia. They said that they don't qualify as women because their testosterone was too high. And it's only the 400, I think it's the 400 to 800 meters. You can be 200 meters and you can have higher testosterone as a woman. They'll allow it. 400 to 800, they don't allow it. Like these rules, if you read them, they're fucking wild.
Yeah.
Like who made these decisions and who is also saying this is the range that we think normal women should be? And there's literally women existing outside that and they're disqualifying them. They lost their Olympic dreams. Caster Semenya should have won gold. She's not allowed to run. Like this
now,
is
I
wild.
didn't follow that closely at the time. No, what that means when you say that name, I remember hearing stuff about ambiguous genitalia. That's everything that I know. There was some real dispute about is this person is this person a woman? Like, what do you know the facts of that better than I do?
So basically, Caster Semenya, very well known South African 800-meter sprinter. So I'm trying to remember the range. Was it like 2012? I think it was around that time. Basically, a woman who lost just said, that's not a woman.
Yeah.
And that resulted in the testing. That already shouldn't have happened. Someone shouldn't be able to say, I don't think that person's a woman. You have to test her. That should have stopped it right then. They went and they did chromosomal testing on her and found that Caster Semenya is actually intersex.
Right.
And they released it, which also is a violation of HIPAA. You can't release someone's medical
privacy.
documentation.
What's intersex? You're half a man, half a woman?
That is a very, very basic way of saying it because we just have so much diversity. So people that have basically characteristics that can be assigned to XY chromosome and XX chromosome. Because there's even Bill Nye has done like an episode showing like how diverse things are.
Yeah.
You know, like we're not that simple. People think like they want things to be black and white in life, and nothing about this world, not even just humans, but the animal world, anything you look into is ever that basic or ever that black and white. And instead of celebrating the fact that there's so much range and really beauty in the fact that we're all so incredibly different, even though we're all sitting here looking basically the same, like we don't really know what's running under someone's hood, right? People then get threatened by it. People get scared at the option of like, oh, wait, I was raised to believe that there are only men and women. And people are saying, actually, that's not true. And science is proving that's not true. And people still get scared and dig their heels in and say, this is wrong. Why? Just because you don't understand it, it makes you uncomfortable, doesn't mean that it's unlawful, that it's something that's not supposed to exist when literally everything in this world indicates over and over and over this does exist and has existed for a very long time.
Yeah.
How long does it take to grow a beard when you first start taking tests? Like how long before you got you woke up and went, holy shit.
I wish I just woke up and it was like this. I have some friends though, literally they were like 9 months, had a full beard. Me, I probably stopped here for like about 3 years. And then all of a sudden in the 4th, 5th year, they started filling in. I still got the full patch.
Wait,
yeah, that's better than Kevin.
Yeah, I'm almost 40 and I still can't connect my sideburns.
Wait, so a couple of years and then all of a sudden more hair?
Yeah, it's just, I literally just sent myself through second puberty.
So who's to say that in another couple of years, another thing doesn't kick in?
Oh, I am praying that this will fill out.
Oh, so just one, like patches started to form?
Yeah, it just kind of, at first it was just kind of here. I still have a wispy mustache and all of a sudden this just started connecting. Then this was kind of looking really sad. And then all of a sudden it started connecting. So yeah.
The sides there could use some help. I think you're not giving your mustache enough credit.
Yeah, it's a sweet stash.
It's a solid stash.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And so you went bald when you started taking, or did you go bald or not?
Oh yeah, my hair started thinning.
But from the testosterone, correct?
Yeah.
So if I take estrogen, maybe my hair grows back?
Maybe.
You just
may
have
grow
to
some other
shampoo
things,
it.
too.
Only one way to
Shampoo
find out.
estrogen under your scalp.
I mean, if ratings get really low, maybe it's time for me to just be a woman and so that people don't hate me. Being honest about being bi and being a guy that punches people and loves a lot of man stuff. A lot of people that followed me for loving a lot of man stuff have found me to be like a not as cool now. Because of that, like I kind of let down a lot of people from being open about that stuff. I actually have a story. Somebody messaged my wife yesterday and said, why would you listen to her? She's a tattooed, what are you?
A tattooed skank, I believe they called me.
Yeah, who's married to a fag that drinks blood. And I was like, wow.
That's crazy. You haven't drank blood in years.
Thank you, Michael. When I first started dating my wife, she got into she would scratch my arms and suck the blood out. And I told the story on the show. And I didn't know that would be like a thing that would bum people out. Like people got mad at me. I'm like, wait, I'm not a vampire. I don't wait.
Also, if you were a vampire and it was consensual blood, who cares?
Well, you're wrong. If it's consensual, it's still offensive to a lot of people that want me to live their life. It's a very odd thing when people can't see that they're being irritated by me just living my life. Like people call me like this show. I guarantee you someone's going to message me and go, dude, enough. You don't even know about politics. So shut your fucking mouth. And I'm like, it's my show.
Yeah.
Like and my show started 20 years ago with ridiculous opinions. That's all I am. Just, I think this. And you can be like, that's ridiculous. Or, hey, man, didn't think of it that way. Thank you. Take whatever you want from it. It's still like when people can't see that. It's like hey, Metallica, fucking don't play that shit. I like it when you play that shit. Like, why would I DM James Hetfield to tell him that when I know he'd be like, I'm Metallica. I don't know who the fuck you are. Like, don't tell me how to make my music. This is my music. You know, when people tell me how I should do it, it fucking pisses me off.
I'm one of those guys that is not very fashion savvy. I sometimes even get flustered going into a department store. But luckily,
I don't know,
Mack
man.
Weldon
Sometimes I
makes it
feel like
super
you
easy.
got those metal shirts on before anybody even knew those metal shirts were cool. So, like people think that you're not cool, but you might be in the future.
Yeah, that's me just mailing it in. But Mack Weldon, it makes it super easy for dum-dums like me to pair an outfit up and look good and not spend a ton of dough.
Yeah, if you don't know where to buy clothes and you don't know what you should be wearing, leave it all to Mack Weldon. We all love the stuff they've been sending us. I got a delightful pair of swim trunks that I was sporting this past weekend in Palm Springs. You might have heard me. I was lighting up the town in those Mack Weldons.
Wow. that town is not big enough for two people wearing those. That's crazy, Michael, to know that you were doing that. Good for you. By the time this summer, buy some time this summer with Mack Weldon Daily Wear System. 20% off your first order. Visit mackweldon.com/Ellis. Enter the promo code Ellis. You don't have to enter that aggressively. Just enter the code Ellis. That's mackweldon.com/Ellis. Promo code Ellis for 20% off. Mack Weldon radically efficient wardrobing. Wow, that's cool. Catchy.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, right. Hey, everybody, we're talking about Sweet Scoop. Sweet Scoop. Sorry. I don't know. I think I said it right. Sweet Scoop. Anyway, kitty litter that is good for kitties. Kitty like the kitty litter. The kitty litter doesn't got any plastic in it, so it's good for the environment. I have cats, love cats, talk to cats, befriend cats, sleep with cats, always with cats, have cat poo on me several times. This happens in my life. It's just the game. With Sweet Scoop, they do not drag poopies from the kitty litter because I have a cat that has no arms, so it's not very easy for him. Wait, he has arms, but they're very small. They're stubby, and he has a full-grown tail. So if you do the math, every now and then that tail's going to get in there, and with Sweet Scoop, far less times do I get a poopy tail brushed across my chest in the morning. This is the life I've chosen. I'm okay with it. So anyway, this is a really great product. And of course, as I said, environmentally friendly.
That's right. So if you're stuck between litter that works and litter that's pet and planet friendly, Sweet Scoop doesn't make you choose. Go to sweetscoop.com to get a $5 off coupon and find a retailer near you. That's SWHEAT scoop.com.
Respect to my kiddies.
Yeah.
But I'll continue to do this because I just want to know. As a guy that supports the trans community, I don't know. I don't have enough. I just had a discussion at a dinner with, I won't say his name, but, what is the deal with trans people being in the Olympics? And I said, look, I feel like it's a little bit of it seems like everyone's negative towards it for reasons besides athletical ability. I feel like there's a little hint of, you just don't want them to be there because they're attached to this thing that you don't like. They're in the LGBT, people don't like the LGBTQ community. It's too many words, too many letters, too confusing. What the fuck? Now they're going to be in the bathroom. Like, it's all these little things that people have said that make it look bad. But I wish you could all just let your friends go, and if you're listening to this, and see if there's real cheating going on. Are they really fucking females out of it? Is testosterone, estrogen, does it make a difference at all? Or are we all just cheats? Are they just a bunch of people that are like, I couldn't make it as a man, or now I'm going to be a girl?
Which is no one.
Yeah, that
like,
example.
absolutely,
Right.
like no one. I mean, like, if you understand what it is to be a trans person, and in particular, like a trans woman in this world, that is not something you're like, oh, I think this is going to help me out in sports.
Well,
Like,
I think
no one's
everybody
doing that.
can understand, whatever, predominantly males who are going to listen to this or watch this, ask yourself if you or any one of your buddies would have become a female to win the state championship in high school of basketball. In your heart of hearts, would you truly have made that commitment?
And it doesn't
Not
count.
one would do that.
It doesn't count if your friend's drunk right now and
Yeah.
he's like, I fucking totally would.
Yeah,
No,
he
he
would.
wouldn't. When it gets to the chopping block, no, he wouldn't.
Right.
Like, you have had your breast removed, right?
Yeah, we call it top surgery. So it's a top surgery specifically. So a gender confirming surgery.
Was I out of line saying that?
Yeah, because I don't consider them like my boobs got cut off.
So, see, I'm fucking up. But don't take it as an insult. Just learn. I'm like, okay, shit, say top surgery. My wife constantly schools me on talking to some of her I'm like, how's she doing? He's like, that's how he's doing. I'm like, well, he was a girl like 6 months ago, so fucking give me a second. So I'm trying, and I see how other people that are even more less educated than I am with it, how they can be like, I don't fucking get it, and then they're insulting you. Like I did. If this was just us at a bar and I said that, would you immediately think to yourself, "Oh, great, here we go"?
I mean, I feel like in boxing, I'm so used to it at this point. Like, and I say this like completely as me, because people will be like, well, that means I can say this to that trans person. No, every trans person's different.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like, for me, myself, I'm not particularly sensitive. Like, I'm also used to talking and educating people who've never had any access to this type of information.
Right.
So
I
for
wouldn't
me-
ask you these questions at a bar. I'm asking you because we're on a podcast and I want to learn, and you agreed to come on to help us understand the trans community better. So obviously I probably might be thinking that I'd like to ask a few questions if you were there, but for me, it's, I just want the knowledge. I'm not a big reader. So if you tell me, this is going to totally sink in. You're my book. So tell me, and if I'm incorrect, I would love for you to check me on that.
That's a lot of pressure, by the way, on me. They're like,
Well, I'm gonna get, you're not the only guy. I'm going to get a lot of other stuff from everyone. I'm gathering information.
I wanted to ask you about that. Some people know that they represent a community that's beyond just themselves and they embrace that, but that's not everybody. If it were me, I find it hard enough to lead my own life without being asked to speak on behalf of, I don't know, straight white dudes or people from New Jersey or whatever.
People from Australia.
Right, exactly.
We all say cunt.
How much, obviously you have embraced it, but how much in your heart do you embrace it, and how much do you wish that you just could only deal with your own life and not have to speak for a community?
Yeah, I feel like there was a time, especially in 2019, where I was like resentful of it, of like having to represent, I would say, multiple communities. I'm not just trans, like
Right.
I'm a mixed race Black person on top of that. And like, where do you just get to be a person? And that's part of the dehumanization that ends up happening, is like, I just become only seen as these very interesting and parts that do make up who I am as a person. But, it's one single issue. Like, I've got a bunch of other things going on. There's a bunch of other things I would like to talk about in life. But I've really come to realize like this is a privilege too, that I get to be in spaces that usually trans people never get to be a part of, right? And like, what do I want my impact to be? And what do I want my legacy to be? And I don't want my legacy to be what things people say about me, being labeled as like the first. I don't really care about any of that stuff. Like for me, legacy is like, how does, by knowing me and being in relationship with me, change another person's life so that they not only maybe learn something about themselves, but also open up space to learn things about other people. And if I can do that in spaces where a lot of other trans people don't feel safe, then I feel like that is my obligation. And that's an obligation that I'm actually comfortable doing. So for me, I had to just reframe it a little bit to really, I'd say, gain some power over what's happening as opposed to just being labeled like this trans activist. Because I'm like, I'm not an activist. I'm in movement spaces. I'm around movement people and organizers. I'm really just a loudmouth that has a lot of opinions and really has a sense of what is right or wrong. So for me to be able to come in here and be able to share and tell stories and talk, like I consider this is my work.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's a good. I'm glad you feel that way. So let's talk about, you've had issues finding opponents. You had a pro boxing match, but even leading up to that, you had trouble finding people to fight. What do you make of people who have issues fighting you? Now, I honestly, we've talked so many times over the years, but we have this joke boxing event where we literally talked about, well, what about if you fought a woman and stuff like that? Like, I've thought about fighting women so much more than anybody else ever has, but I understand other people that
sounds so awesome, by the way.
I literally never stop thinking about fighting women.
He's like, okay, cool.
Like if I were...
Come to the right show, I guess.
Here's why I say this. Like, if I were a boxer, I've already thought about, and I know you're not a woman, but just because of your journey in life, I would have no issue. Let's get in the ring. You're one warrior to a warrior. I knock you out. You knock me out. That's great. I understand there's some people who don't want to fight you for, frankly, pretty terrible reasons. But there must also be some people who don't want to fight you because they're good-natured people who just aren't as far along in their journey of understanding the full complexity of what the human possibilities are, the kind of stuff you were talking about earlier. What do you make of your inability to find opponents?
Yeah, I've really come to the place where I'm like, I don't know what people are thinking.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can spend a lot of time theorizing why someone does something or not. I think for the fact of the matter is the boxing community, I'm in gyms with other pro fighters sparring regularly, hard sparring with other professional boxers. No one treats me any different. I feel like it's not even about people being good natured. I don't think that at all. I think it's more about people are concerned what other people are going to say.
Right.
That is the concern, because it's all those people who have never even stepped foot in a boxing gym, who've never even thrown a punch in a fight. They're the ones saying,
they get the opinions out of everybody, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, if honestly the rest of the world would be like, okay, he's another consenting adult who wants to go in the ring. This is another consenting adult. I don't think there'd be a problem at all. And I really don't think there would be an issue. It's all the other pressures from other people, and most people are so sensitive, concerned about what someone's going to think about them.
Right. My wife and I were talking about this last night. We knew you were coming by, obviously, and that's what I was saying is, if it's Sunday morning at a boxing gym and the person has the full set of facts in front of them, a lot of them wouldn't care, but they would care when all of a sudden it's going to be this thing people are going to talk about on social media. You lost to somebody who used to be a woman, or you used to be seen as a woman, or you beat somebody. You can't really win with those people who are going to criticize you for that. Maybe in your life, some crazy aunt or uncle or something, plus the people you'd hear from on your social media.
You already answered it with the people that don't fight have the biggest problem, because if you're a fighter, you've lost thousands of times, you fucking soft cocks. That's why you're bitching, because you don't know what it's like to put it on the line and lose. That's fighting. You just think like the guy that's got the belt has just spent his whole life knocking everybody out. No, we all got beat. Like in sparring in fucking the 10 years before you became the best. People have beaten the shit out of me. I have lost embarrassingly thousands of times. So if I lose a fight in front of you guys, like I'm fighting this comedian guy, my last fight. I'm old, and this guy's younger than me, but he's not as good as I am. And everyone's like, man, if you lose to him, how are you're going to be so ruined? I'm like, no, I won't. Like, you guys are fucking soft. Will I be bummed out on the day? Fuck yeah, I'll be devastated. But I'm a fighter. Like, I lose. Not the greatest fighter in the world. I'll fucking hold my head up high. I'll fight. And if you're going to finish me, it's going to be fucking a long night for you because I don't quit. You're going to have to break me. And I know that about myself. So I don't need social media to be like, man, you fucking lost. What's it like to lose? I'm like, it's fine. It's life. Like skateboarding taught me that. And fighting is an even bigger lesson of that. And people, that's why we did Ellis Mania, because you all you yaps on Twitter need to have a fight so that you can understand what it's like. And if you lose the first one, that's even better for you because you need to get beaten. You need to understand that being beat down in a physical fight, organized, not like where someone can poke your eye out and you have like permanent damage, is you'll be tired, you can't breathe, you're scared, you're nervous, you're losing, and then you keep going or you get finished. It's a thing that we all run from our whole lives. But when you do it and go through it, you find out it's not that bad.
Yeah, and I think that's why I have so much respect actually in the boxing community, because anyone who steps in that ring,
there you go,
automatic respect. Mm-hmm. Like, that is not easy. There's a reason why boxing is rated as the hardest sport in the world.
And we all know when you see that person commit to it, you know it because you never forget how terrified you were the first time you started sparring.
Yeah, and I lost my first 3 fights too in a row. Like, no way. Oh, yeah,
wait,
yeah.
When you were a girl, when you first started at 16?
My female fight, yeah. I lost my first fight, I got stopped in 30 seconds.
You got slapped? Did you go down or just...
No, I just got overwhelmed.
Oh my God. So the ref called it and you were just like, what's happening?
Yeah, it was at a time there was no open or novice. So open is like when you have 10 or more fights in the amateurs, and novice is when you're 0 to 10.
No.
They had no for female fighters.
You got an animal.
I was 16 years old, so I just made the cutoff for the 17 to 34-year-old.
Oh.
Versus I think she was 32-year-old with 26 fights. Oh my God. I had been boxing 3 months. And my coach didn't even show up for that fight. I got overwhelmed in 30 seconds.
That's a big division.
Yeah, it was a big
difference. 34?
Yep.
His coach didn't show up. That's real fighting. People think they see the Conor McGregors and, he's so good. I was watching him. He's excellent. In real fighting, nobody cares.
Wait, how does someone in their 30s feel about fighting a legally defined child?
Oh, a win is a win.
Yeah, as I was saying, she would probably feel real good.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain people, but if you're in the amateur ranks, if you put headgear in and get in there, they don't care.
Look, I'm a pussy, so I would say the majority of 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds could probably beat me up.
Well, the other thing is there's 16-year-olds out there that could wipe the floor with the person that beat him up.
Yeah, there's some badass 16-year-olds that have been fighting since they were 8 years old.
She might have thought, sure, this person looks very young, but that doesn't mean you're not going to be good in boxing.
Yeah, and you never know.
Fuck with me.
The fact of the matter in boxing or any combat sport, even if someone doesn't look that good, they can have a silly ass style.
Yep.
They catch you with one good shot.
Right.
That's it. It does not matter.
If you don't respect your opponent, you shouldn't be fighting.
I don't know. I couldn't see myself going to the bar afterwards, be like, you guys see how I whipped that child's ass?
Look, I'm going to beat up Luis J. Gomez, and he's basically an infant compared to me. And after I beat his ass, I'm totally going to celebrate, you fucking asshole.
He's almost 40. Or maybe he is 40 already.
So, Patricio, what's going on with your pro career? So you got a fight from Golden Boy. That seems like it was really kind of out of nowhere. And when you were having trouble even getting amateur fights, all of a sudden you had a red carpet rolled out for you. That seems like an overall very positive experience you had with Golden Boy.
Yeah, it was really great. And complete respect to Golden Boy Promotions, Oscar La Hoya, and in particular Eric Gomez, who is the president. Basically, Eric Gomez reached out to me. There was a LA Times story that had come out in, I think it was 2017, because they followed me through my transition and had a story because they had followed me prior to my transition when I was going for the Olympics. So I already had that relationship with them. He saw the story and was like, you deserve every opportunity that everyone has. So he was in my corner the entire time. Now, what has been the story of my career is shortly after he contacted me, I tore the ligaments in my thumb and broke my thumb.
Fuck.
Which has been same thing happened in 2019. I was having fights coming up. Eye infection completely swelled my eye shut up the week before, or the week of the fight. And then when I was going to have another fight in the summer, my hip went out.
What do you mean out?
I have a hip impingement I found out about on some labral tears.
Yeah.
So I threw out my back. because of the hip injury and was like bedridden.
Wait, so what kind of fucking surgery is that?
I'm not having surgery. I didn't have surgery.
How the fuck do you rehab what? How?
I rehabbed everything else around this, released it, and just strengthened everything back up.
And it's 100%.
It's way better than what
Can
it's for
you
the past
run?
3 years.
Can you do sprints?
Yep, I can run. I just got back into running during the pandemic, actually.
That's inspirational to me because I've got hip and back, all kinds of things.
It took
and I'm
a
trying
lot.
to run for this fight. And it's I have to pick like a certain way to run, a certain amount of time to run, or I'm going to be ruined to train the next day.
I can't
be
run
like,
every day anymore either.
right.
Like,
There's no way I
yeah.
could do that. Yeah. I would be like, if I do 3 days a week, it's like,
Yeah, I'm at the
everywhere I go,
3-4.
I waddle, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, cardio's up, but this whole area is sore. You know, it doesn't go away.
Yeah, I'll let you know. There's a particular fascia guy I worked with, Coach Chong, and I worked with
What's
him.
a fascia?
Fascia? It's like basically all the stuff that's over the muscle they used to get rid of. They found out that actually it's really important and it ties all the muscles together. So
Yeah.
he works on that stuff particularly.
Does he have like a blade?
No, he doesn't. I used him online actually, and he was showing me exercises,
Like stretches and shit.
yeah, like strength at work. Like,
Oh, wow.
it's all foot stuff.
And it helped.
Oh yeah, big time.
Man,
Right, because you hear about plantar fasciitis.
Yeah, and I had that in my right foot always because of my hip. I don't have it anymore.
I gotta, yeah.
I'll send you his info. Yeah, he's a
Your
great guy.
fascia's
I for
fuck,
sure
bro.
got- yeah, that had to be said. So, go ahead.
So what's going on with Golden Boy? The story made it sound like the ESPN story. Like you had the fight, you won the fight, you got injured, pandemic, but now Golden Boy wouldn't even answer an email from ESPN about you. So what's going on? Are they giving you another fight?
I mean, possibly. We haven't reached out to them yet. I mean, basically what we've been doing, boxing's been shut down. This has been weird.
Sure.
Like our gym, we still can't even have sparring in it. We have to go to other places to spar because we train at a city gym. So basically we just been training and I knew I had a ton of stuff to do this summer in particular. Unfortunately and fortunately, because I am the person that people come to for trans issues, I got to be a part of like some really amazing projects that I felt were really, really important. So for me, I've been training, I've been sparring, I've been doing all those things, but it's still the focal point has been working on these things, in particular working with Uninterrupted, which is LeBron James and Maverick Carter's company. They just had a trading card that came out, tons of interviews, including like Demi Lovato. Like I think things are going to really make a difference culturally, but you know, I need to get all these out of the way before I can go back into fighting. So my coach said, I just got back from vacation. We're good to go. We'll start reaching out to people now. But Golden Boy and Eric Gomez in particular have been really great to me. You know, and I think there's a lot more complex things than just no one's just trying not to fight me. We just had a whole pandemic. Like the world's been shut down. You know, most
you feel good
fighters
about
have no
getting a
fighting.
potential fight.
I feel good. Yeah, it's gonna. I mean, when that article came out and the headline, like my coach and I were like, "What?" Like made it seem like there's no hope for me to ever get a fight. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel really confident that I'm gonna have a fight. My
Yeah.
coach feels confident I'm gonna have a fight. Now, is it as easy as another, 1-0 guy coming up? No, that's being realistic. But there's gonna be people that will fight me. I know that there's no doubt in my mind that I'm gonna have another fight.
You're as old now as that lady who beat you up in your very first fight. How many more fights do you want to have?
As many as this beating a bod can go. You know, I'm actually feeling, I think the pandemic helped me of having that year where I was forced not to train as much and not to spar as much, that I actually feel fresher than I have in a while. You know, even when I fought my pro debut, like my hip was killing me. I could barely throw right hands. And, this is the nature of the sport is you just keep pushing through until eventually something breaks. And that's what happened with me. But, I don't know how long it'll go, but I feel like when my coach tells me I'm done and I feel in my heart that I've done everything that I can do in this sport, or if I don't love it anymore, then I'll turn it in. But right now I'm still just I love this. I love sparring and fighting.
Do you think you could beat me up?
Of course I do. I'm a fighter.
So am I.
And I'm sure you think you could beat me up.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm not. I mean, maybe MMA, but I don't know about. In your actual work, boxing.
Yeah, you can beat me in MMA. I'll take you in boxing.
Because I'll take you down.
Yeah.
If you tell me that you're a boxer, I'm not fucking standing with you.
I'll be a turtle on the ground.
So that means if I grab your ankle, you're just gonna fucking freak out. Like I've rolled with boxers. They're they're claustrophobic.
We're specialized, I would like to say.
No,
we're specialized.
I trained with Justin Fortune, and every time he ever got me in trouble, I would just put him on the ground and get him in a guillotine, and he would tap before I'd put it on. And I'm like, why are you tapping? He's like, I'm claustrophobic. I'm like, that is the ultimate jiu-jitsu athlete right there, just to get freaked out because someone's holding your head. That's awesome. But I getting back to it, you're almost an Olympian, high level. You're a high level boxer. Obviously, our weight classes are way away from each other. I'm more into not trying to actually fight you. I just want to see how easy is it for you to land and get out of the way, because you've got to be way better than me. You've got to be. You can't be a pro boxer. I box a lot, but I'm 49, and I've never been. No one's ever looked at me as in, hey man, you're a prodigy. I'm not a prodigy. I'm not very good. I would really love to, like, for you to punch me in the face.
Let's do it then.
Would you do that?
Yeah.
Because I got a gym upstairs.
As long as we're done by like 11ish.
What about I'll give you 1 minute to punch me in the face, and I'll just like try to move.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
What?
But I can't do body shots.
Why not?
Just face.
Well, I'm asking because you said punch you in the face. I'm getting
you
the
can do
full
both.
clarity. Okay.
Yeah. Fuck
I
it.
feel like this is going to be wildly different than when you extended this offer to Ryan Sickler.
I would fucking hope so. For one, I know that he isn't going to get tired in 1 minute.
How much weight do you have on me?
I'm 200.
200. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm about 143 right now.
Right.
So.
But if you're playing a game where I'm not punching, I can't use my weight. It's just more, I just want to see how fast you are.
Okay.
And like what skill. I want to fight anybody who's good. And I know that's like, hey, we're going to just punch each other in the face. That's not responsible. I get that. That's why I'm just saying, can you move around a little bit and show me how cool it is? Because, like, do you know who Dominic Cruz is?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I sparred him a few times. In the first, like, maybe 2 minutes before he started hurting me, I was just in awe. Like, just watch. I'm like, wow, he's doing the Dominic Cruz to me, like a little foot thing, and then whoop, and I was like, oh. And then I was like, stop celebrating, fucking fight. Like, because I couldn't stop watching the magic of such a great athlete, which I'm sure you are as well. So I just want to be impressed. I can take a shot. I mean, don't fucking try to knock me out, please. But yeah, I think I'll be okay.
Let me ask you one more question before we do that. We were talking earlier about how people just like jump to conclusion. It seems there's a lot of people who think it's just wrong for trans people to compete at the highest levels and they don't have real facts to back that up. But I also see a lot of people who want to insist it's totally fine. And I'm not sure that they really have a ton more facts than the other people. I'm not going to ask you to speak for science or for a community. How do you personally feel? This is a crazy question, but do you feel like you're about as good at, like, on a scale of 1 to 100 out of guys as you were as a female?
As in, like,
let's just say that you were you were an Olympic. You probably would have been on the Olympic team. I think that's fair to say if you hadn't been injured in your fight against Tiara Brown. Right.
Yeah. She's now a world champion.
That's right. Do you think you beat her twice? She's a world champion.
Yeah.
You would have beaten her a third time. Even she agrees is probably the case. Do you think you would have been, if you can go back in time and be a 20-year-old having already transitioned, do you think you would have been an Olympic boxer as a man?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, maybe I wouldn't even gone for the Olympics. I think there's so much, I'm not trying to dodge the question, just being realistic, like what the Olympics meant to female boxers when literally that was the first chance ever. And even now, like, you would have thought women's boxing has gone further. It still hasn't. Women are still trying to get fights. Women are only allowed to do 2-minute rounds, 10 rounds max. Yeah, it's stupid.
I did not.
Yeah.
In the UFC, fucking girls fight the same amount of time as a guy.
That is what
and it's
women
way
boxers
longer.
Have been trying to argue. They complain, we don't
2
have knockouts.
minutes.
You shaved off a whole minute of a fight. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You get 2 minutes to knock. That's fucking.
Yeah.
What about the sweet science of boxing? You're making their sweet science not like you took a minute off the round.
Yep.
Boxing is 3 minutes. What the fuck are you doing?
Well, okay, but that's not unheard
that is so
of.
insulting to think
It
that
is
when
really
you're saying
insulting.
women can't do an extra minute of cardio.
Yep.
Fuck off.
But it's not without precedent. For example, female tennis They've done 3 rounds while men have done 5 all these years. I don't follow tennis closely. I'm not aware of a sustained outcry from women who want to do 5 instead of 3.
I know nothing about tennis. So
I'm just
I
saying,
couldn't even say.
boxing's not the only sport that has a different-
I mean, it wasn't until the 1970s they let women run in a marathon. Like they were tackling her. and
Tennis
stuff
is
like
the
that.
big one where they had a not so good male play a really good female and he beat the shit out of her. And I don't know if that was in the 70s or the 80s, but from there on out, it's just like.
I thought Billie Jean King won.
Okay, but if
on
you're
that
talking
one.
about that one, that guy these may be 2 different things.
Oh, different ones?
Because
Okay.
Billie Jean King was the best tennis player in the world, and she played like some dude. I don't even, if he was a pro, he wasn't a pro anymore. He was like 47 years old and he like gave her flowers over, like he was not taking it seriously. He made it a circus. She did not beat a legitimate pro guy.
Yeah, I'm like, I know nothing about
Bobby Riggs? Is that his name?
I just remember the bashing of female athletes through tennis because I never thought tennis would be a sound disrespectful to women's sport.
Right.
You know, they seem pretty uppity and proper.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely have a. It's kind of like golf where people didn't, made those things about Tiger when he first played good. A couple of people were like, "Where's the chicken?" or something. Some golf players said some shit like that. I feel like tennis was a little bit like that in the way of, females. I mean, you give them a racket, good for them. But did you know fucking Jimmy beat the shit out of the? It's like that thing where they have more of a less scientific, but more of a factual. Women can't keep up with men sort of motto. See, that's as a guy that doesn't really play tennis, I've always felt like I've heard that from people that are tennis fans.
Yeah,
I mean, aesthetically, I kind of preferred female tennis when I did watch it.
Well, especially because Serena and Venus came out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what ended up being like Serena and Venus.
Well, in the men's game, there's just so much power in the serve. You end up just like watching guys ace each other left and right. With women, you get a lot more active volleying.
Like, I know nothing beyond like boxing and a little bit of MMA. That's it. But to go back to your question before I completely seem like I'm dodging it, maybe I would have turned pro sooner. There's more male boxers than there are female boxers. I think that changes certain things, but I do not doubt that I would be a quality boxer at an elite level.
Because that would change this whole dialogue. When you have Olympians, and we'll just use that example since that's what's going on right now, that are all male to female, that's just going to fuel the argument of one side. If there was an equal number of female to male athletes going into the Olympics, then it would be hard to argue that it was an advantage.
Yeah, and I think, what ends up happening with trans men that are in sports is it's the same token, the misogyny that basically anyone that was born and they said that's a girl is physically inferior to anyone that is born and they said that's a boy. Like that's literally what the root of it is. And they say that even no matter I'm on hormones or my skill level, because this isn't even just about being the strongest person. There's plenty of people stronger than me. I can still fuck them up. It doesn't matter because my skill as a boxer is superior to them. All those things get thrown out and we just completely drop people down into their most baseline. Like there are women out there like Serena Williams. Let's go with the Serena Williams, for example. That basically people are arguing that any dude who plays a little bit of tennis can beat her because he's a man. No, that doesn't work that way, And I think once we understand that people are so different and we're so individual and it's case by case by every single person, we will hopefully not want everything to be so basic. People are just so scared of anything that's in the gray zone as opposed to just black and white, but none of this world is that easy.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm under the impression, like, to use the Serena example one more time, that I don't know how she would fare against like a top 50 male tennis opponent, but you fought a pro boxing match against a guy, fair and square, same weight division, and you won.
Yeah. I think it made a lot of people mad.
Yeah.
A lot of people
I don't think
mad
Serena could do what you do.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? I mean, who knows? Because Venus or Serena haven't had those opportunities or haven't cared to.
Right.
Even like, what is even the point of that? But I mean, for me, the fact of the matter is like, I'm a man. Like straight up. If you look at my hormonal range, I'm a man. I go and I spar and I train and I work hard with other men in my gym and I'm treated that way. So every time I step in that ring, there is no difference between me and the other guy other than our histories. But everyone has that difference.
Right.
I'm the exact same. And I have some unfair advantages over other people because I have such an elite amateur background. Like, that's not fair. A lot of people never had that opportunity either.
What's an elite amateur background give you in boxing that, like, if you don't have that, what is this?
Experience.
Because it's so many fights?
I've had so many fights against so many different styles. Like most people have never fought like a 6 foot tall Chinese fighter. I have.
All right.
You know, that makes a big difference.
So you know how to get inside on somebody who's really long.
You know, I fought against Southpaw speedsters, you know, and was able to beat them. Like I have, and these weren't just people
I definitely wanted you to move around.
Yeah. And these weren't just people that just like, oh, I'm in a box today. These are people that also trained, worked hard, had whole experience. I have all that stored in me. Like experience is the one thing that can actually nullify people's natural assets. And then on top of that, like I'm not the greatest athlete in the world. I'm not bad. I'm also not the weakest athlete in the world. I'm strong and I've got a pretty good chin too on top of it. Like all these things added together means I'm a threat for anyone that steps in there.
Have you been knocked out?
No, I have not.
Yeah.
You gonna try to do that today to me?
No. What the fuck? No, I wonder about the CTE, like how you've had all these years of sparring when you're an amateur and as a girl, and then you transition to a man and you're saying you spar all the time. It's a lot of sparring. You seem smart right now, but you're young, but you haven't been knocked out. So you have a pretty good chin then.
Yeah, I've got a pretty good chin.
Had a good chin as a girl and as a man.
Yep. I mean, I'm half Irish. I got this stereotypical Irish
Half
chin.
Irish.
Yep.
Yeah, you were fucking born to fight for sure.
Yep, definitely was.
Yeah, that's a killer combination.
Which, speaking of that, just reminded me. I don't know if you remember this. We were in a Tekken 6 video together, way back in 2008, 2009.
You were in Tekken?
You mean we did the commercial?
The commercial.
Yeah. Because I did the commercial. They took me to some gym to hit a heavy bag, and Josh Barnett was there, and I remember going, "Shouldn't be here. You guys shouldn't be filming me."
Yeah, we were. I just remember that because I think part of my line was like, you know, I fight for equality. I fight because I was born to fight. I just remember that right now. We were in that video together. We weren't in the same. We missed each other. Okay. But yeah, I was in that. I was in that video with you.
Yeah. Wow, that's weird.
A small circle. It comes right
back.
Right.
It's funny because I completely lost that existed in my life. Yeah, that was one of those things where you get really excited because I'm not a real fighter. I'm a skateboarder that fights, and they were like, "Hey, man, we want to use you as a fighter," and I was like, "Are you sure? Because I'm not worthy. Even if I am, I get, especially when you walk into a gym and fucking Josh Barnett is putting his gloves on. I'm like, you want me to punch in front of him? I don't really want. I remember like hitting the bag and kicking the bag, and I'm thinking, I wonder if Josh Barnett's like, wow, why is he here?
Yeah, but you're actually, I mean, the thing is, you are a legit fighter because you actually fight. Like that is the definition of fighter. I know. I am a fighter. I'm a fighter, but I'm not a career fighter after, get sanctioned and getting your brain scanned and eye tests and cutting weight twice. Seeing people really do it for a living. I remember saying to myself, you wouldn't make it, dude. You wouldn't. Some guy was arguing that his brain scan was incorrect so that he could fight for $500. And I'm like overhearing it. And I'm like, this place is not a fucking place you want to. People think like, yeah, man, fighting, it's not glorious. Like maybe there's some glamour in the top 3 guys, but the rest it's dirty, man. It's dirty and it's sad and it's dark. Yeah. But it's also honest. And that's what I love about it. I mean, I think that's why it pulls on people so much, whether they participate or watch it. There's so much honesty about this sport.
Yep. Yeah, I love the pure honesty and the challenge and the inner battle. It's not about anybody else. That's why I always think it's weird when someone tells me like I need to pivot or something on Instagram. I'm like, okay, do you know how much I care about what you say? Like this is my little thing.
The amount of people that come and tell me, well, I think you should do this. I'm like, who the fuck are you? Yeah. Like I have excellent coaches. Like, and also to think that you can look at a video of a fighter and then give them information. Top level fighters don't do that. I mean, you have like a Marcos Maidana, for example. If someone on a keyboard would be like, oh, that guy can't fight because he throws punches all wild. He's a world champion. He gave Mayweather a hard fight. Like, there's so much more to the sport than even following those textbook examples or like guidelines that we're supposed to have. And that's what, In boxing in particular, we only have so many limited punches, and yet the way everyone throws their punches is completely different.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's a part of the game. If you're a really big fan and you want to tell, Lomachenko that his footwork is terrible, you go ahead. To get pumped on the sport, and if you have to, if it's negative, whatever. To me, I see passion. Like if a fan's like, "Whoa, your foot, that guy doesn't stand a chance," you're an idiot. But you love it. You know me, you know the guy I'm going to fight, and you want to have opinions about it. Great.
Yeah.
See you at the fight.
I will choose to ignore any advice they give me.
Yeah. That is definitely, as somebody that was a pro athlete, to have an advice from somebody who has no idea of the sport, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Jason, you mentioned you had some app misadventure that we were going to get into, but I don't know if we have time, if you guys are going to move around a little bit.
Yeah, we should probably, I just want you to, I got some gloves. I'll put a mouthpiece in and I'll run away while you punch me in the face. I just want to see how quick you are. I think it's going to be exciting.
Okay.
I'll tell the story about a masseuse that had no teeth and popped my knee out another episode.
I'll be looking forward to that.
So I'm going to play the end of the show, right?
Yeah, this is the end of the show. We'll just edit that in later. So,
right,
Patricio, thank you so much for coming by.
Yeah, where can we find you if you want to be? Do you want to be found? I just should ask.
I feel like at this point, like with social media, I should be found whether I want to be or not. So my Instagram is probably the best way. Just know that I'm not going to respond to any of my DMs. It's team_Patricio_Manuel.
Did you just sound Spanish for a second?
Probably the way just I pronounced it. My
Can you
name,
speak Spanish?
Very little. It's pretty poor. But I've been in Mexican gyms basically for the past 15 years. That's how I was just going to go by Pat because I thought it was funny from the Saturday Night Live.
Oh,
sketch.
yeah, nice.
And then someone else was like, no, they started calling me Patricio. So I was like, okay, I'll choose that one. Like that'll be my legal name. But that's why that was my original name, was just going to be Pat.
That's awesome. Just to embrace
Lean
the jokes
lean
so
into it.
hard. Yeah.
I get it before people can. Because the amount of insults, I'm like, man, it's just boring. People don't even try when they giving me insults. I'm like, at least make some effort. Give me something original.
Insults. We can do better, people. Come on. Thanks for being on the show, dude.
All right, thanks for having me.
Don't die.
Bing, boing, poing, 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 poing. Poing, poing, poing. Boing, 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 boing. Meow, meow.
If you want more Jason Ellis Show, sign up for their Patreon at patreon.com/EllisMate for a 2-hour show every Tuesday and Wednesday. To watch full episodes of The Jason Ellis Show, subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/The Jason Ellis Show. And don't forget to follow the crew on Instagram at Wolfmate, at Tullywood, at Kevin Kraft, at Underwearwolf, and at The Jason Ellis Show.
Big fat boy.